I'm so excited to introduce you to my new friend, Wendy. Wendy takes us on her personal journey, where she not only experiences grief in one way, but a profound way with 5 losses. I don't know about you, but that's quite a few losses. I know we've talked about a few types of grief up until now, but this is called complicated grief. After so many types of loss, when they start piling on top of each other, they begin to become complicated grief. I want to thank my friend Rissa for introducing me to Wendy. Without people like you to introduce other people to me, to have these beautiful podcasts, I wouldn't have been able to introduce Wendy. If there's anyone that you know that would be a good fit for our podcast, that has different views or has struggled with any types of grief, or just has a special journey they want to share, please reach out to us. I want to give a special thank you to Wendy. It's not easy to put yourself out there on social media. It can be very vulnerable, so thank you so much for spending time with me, Wendy. I do appreciate all of your effort and everything that you did to share your journey with us. So here's Wendy's journey.
Yeah, that's pretty much what my therapist said as well. And she says, and you're trying to find a way, you were trying to find a way to have some control over that, even though you knew that he was going to go.
Mm-hmm.
There was nothing you could do to stop that.
Yeah.
And I have moved through it. I do not have any more regrets about that, because quite often my dad had such a soft, calming voice. I can hear him in my head.
I wonder what he says to
He
you.
counseled me all of my life, and all those little nuggets of wisdom will come and say, well, if having regret would, make you feel better, go ahead and feel it.
I love that.
Is it making you feel better?
How's that working out for you?
Well, there you go.
Yeah, I love that. Oh,
He had hundreds of those, and they come at just the right time.
yeah. And I tell people, like, when somebody passes away, and I'm sure they don't want to hear this as their loved one hasn't passed yet, but we do have a relationship with them beyond the grave. We talk to people. Do you find that, like, even though you have got to talk to your father still and your mom, you're still talking to them, and the relationship evolves?
Yes.
Oh my, it's creepy.
Mm-hmm. I didn't feel like it was after my mom passed away. Mm-hmm. Like I said, I had all these amazing experiences, one of which was I dreamt about her a lot. We didn't have long, profound conversations. She would usually hug me or, how are you doing? Just little things. And I loved it when that happened, because I thought that has got to be the way they come to us. That I just believe that's just how
my mom's passed, and I swear that's how she sees me in my dreams.
Oh, yeah. And one time I dreamed about her, and I woke up, and I swear I could feel her hand on my hand. One time I had to have a lumpectomy, so it's a heavily sedated outpatient procedure. And as I was coming out of it, I could feel the nurse talking, Wendy, it's time to wake up. And then I heard her singing, come thou fount of every blessing. And when I was all the way out of it, I said, who was the nurse that was next to me singing to me? And they said, so-and-so was, they brought her over. I said, how do you know come thou fount of every blessing? And she goes, I've never heard that song. It was my mother, heavily sedated. It was her way of being with me.
If you YouTube children coming out of anesthesia, it'll make you cry. That's why I'm tearing up right now, but just
do it. There was just so many of those things surrounding after her that I told that's what I wrote down, and I sent my dad, and he goes, she always felt bad that you couldn't come as often as you wanted to. I firmly believe this is her way of keeping, being with you. And it was a lot. It was often a random friend brought over some miniature yellow rose plant. And I said, oh my gosh, how did you know that my mother's favorite flower is yellow roses? And she goes, I didn't. Dozens of those. But after my dad passed away, I could hear him in my head sometimes, but I think that's just me remembering some wisdom or something, but nothing like what I experienced with my mother. So I said this to my therapist, and she goes, well, what was your mom's personality like? And I said, oh, it was bang in your face, and adventurous and loud. And she goes, she made herself known, right? And I said, yeah. She goes, and your father? quiet and unassuming. She goes, "Don't you think they have the same personality in heaven?"
He wasn't going to be like that.
She said, "You might have to listen real closely or look real hard, but you'll see it." So, Rebecca, my therapist, she helped me through my faith transition. It
Okay.
was 10 years in the making.
Would you call it a faith crisis? I've heard that term as a
I don't
chaplain.
like using that because when people
Okay.
say, "I'm so sorry you lost your faith," and I says, "Well, I haven't." I still have
That's why
faith.
I'm questioning you, because I love
Yeah.
that you call it a faith transition. And I want to applaud you for that, because crisis, when I've heard people say faith crisis, I think, oh, maybe it's just a transition. Maybe.
Yeah, no. And then you gave me the phrase that I absolutely love. I love the faith traditions that I had when I was growing up. And I carried them through raising my kids, which gave them a good solid foundation of a loving Heavenly Father and Jesus Christ and so forth. But that was hard for me. But it kind of came to a head to the point where I'm like, this isn't working for me anymore. It just isn't working for me anymore. Rebecca helped me through that, but that had a sense of grief as well, because I thought,
Oh, for sure.
well, what are my mom and dad gonna say after I see
And
them again? What are they think? What are they thinking of me? And I'm worried about that.
well, and knowing what I know about the LDS faith traditions, everything is hinged on what we choose to do now and what we see in our loved ones in the afterlife. So that must have been weighing on your heart heavily.
For sure. For
So
sure.
having someone to guide you through that, I think therapy was a safe space for you at the
Oh
time.
my goodness, it was the
Yeah.
best timing ever. It was really wonderful timing. And then I got to a point where I'm like, okay, I think I'm really good. I didn't think it was possible, but 2.5 years ago, I got a part-time job at a local university, and it's very low key, low stress, low paced job. But 2 years previous, I never would. I isolated myself. I was a hermit. I didn't hardly go anywhere unless it was with one of my members, my family. I kind of was quiet with all my friends. I mean, I completely isolated myself. And every time I went out and did something, I'd have anxiety. But then therapy and everything else. And then I got this job that I absolutely love. It's just the best thing for me. I can't wait to
What
go
is
to
it? What is
I'm
it?
I'm an office manager in the humanities department. I love my faculty. There's no customer service. There's
Even
no,
better.
it's just awesome. I have my summers off. It's part-time, so I have a very well-balanced life. And it's really helped give me some motivation and purpose as well. So I'm doing good. I said to my therapist, maybe we should just do every other week. And she says, if you feel good about that, then let's do that. We always go to Rexburg because that's where the grandkids are for a couple of weeks this summer. I always stay with my brother and his wife because they live right there in Sugar City. And it was just the best time. Since we stayed with my brother and his wife, we spent time with them. I got to spend time with my brother. A couple of years previously, he had back surgery. I wasn't working, so I flew out and stayed with them for a month. Oh, I mean, we've always been close, me and my brother. And we bonded a lot during the time I was helping when he was recovering and so forth. And we laughed and took walks and watched our favorite show, Friends, quoted it. It was just the best. And my oldest sister, Jenny, is there too. So she'd bring lunch and we'd all watch football. It was really a wonderful time. And then the summer of 24, I was there just for a visit. And again, a really great time. And I got to spend some quality time with my brother. Oh, lucky I took a selfie. Oh, here we go. I'm not a person who takes a lot of pictures and I don't like taking selfies, but I thought, oh, I never get a picture with me and my brother. So I'm going to take a quick picture. So we were sitting outside having a beautiful conversation and I took a selfie and I'm so grateful I did. We talked a few times and then January 25, just 11 months. Anyway, he had gotten a very bad kidney stone and it had caused an infection and it made him very sick. So Neva, his wife, got him to the hospital. The doctor said, well, this is going to require surgery, but he's got this infection, so we need to start IV antibiotics. And as soon as we get past that, we can operate. So but it should be okay. So
That's pretty routine.
it was pretty routine. It was pretty.
Yeah.
He's the youngest of us. He's
Okay.
um, but he'd had on and off again for many, couple of decades with addiction problems with prescription meds.
Okay.
He was completely clean and sober about 6 months when this happened. He was doing so good. He looked like himself. He was just in such a good place. Anyway, I had a dream the night he went into the hospital. And I dreamed that I went to a big cultural hall or an event place. I looked around and they were all of my brother's kids and grandkids, all in one place, just milling around. And I thought, why am I here? I turn around and there's my brother, Scott. And I said, what are you doing here? You need to be in the hospital. Let me take you back to the hospital. And he's going, I heard they were all here and I wanted to see them. So let me just spend some time with them. And I said, okay, but then you have to let me take you back to the hospital. This was one of the most vivid dreams I've ever had. So I sat down in a chair and watched as he moved around the room, hugging, laughing, picking up his grandchildren. It was just the most heartwarming sight. And then he came and sat down next to me. And I said, okay, so are you ready to go? Take you back to the hospital? And he said,
I don't like where this is going, Wendy.
He says, no, I think I'm going to stay here for a while. I don't want to do that. I'm just tired of fighting. I'm good right here. And then I woke up and I couldn't stop thinking about it. And it was upsetting to me. I was crying the next, that later that morning I called his wife and said,
what was the emotions washing over you? Just were you like he was saying goodbye?
Absolutely. I thought, no, don't let him give up. Don't let him give up. And so I called his wife and I was crying and she said, what's going on? So I told her about the dream and she goes, Wendy, he's right here in the hospital. Do you want to talk to him? He's absolutely fine. You want to talk to him? And I went, yes, I do. I want to talk to him. So she put him on the phone and he goes, why are you crying? And I says, I'm just worried. I did not tell him about the dream.
When you have premonition type dreams like that, they haunt you. I mean, they shake you to your core.
Because I believe them. And I believe in dreams like that.
Me too. I feel you. I feel you. Yeah.
So I says, I'm just worried about you. And he goes, stop crying. I'll be hopping around on one leg tomorrow. I don't know why I remember that phrase, but that's exactly what he said. So we talked, chatted. He made me laugh. It was just a sweet little conversation. And I said, oh, Scott, I love you. You're just the best. You're such a good brother. And he goes, Wendy, don't make me cry. Doctor's in the room. I don't want him to see me cry. I mean, it was his old self. It was just his regular self. And that was it. The next morning at 2:17, I got a call from my sister. And he had gone into cardiac arrest and they could not revive him.
Before the surgery?
Infection, the procedures to open up some of the lines made the infections way worse despite his fever.
Oh my God.
And so basically the infection just screamed into his body and caused a cardiac arrest and they couldn't revive him. And I'll just never forget that call. I heard my sister's voice and she said, Wendy. And I said, what is it? Is it Scott? Did they have to operate? And she goes, Wendy, he's gone. And I'm going, gone where? Oh. I couldn't. She goes, no, Wendy, he passed away. And I just over and over said, no, I've never experienced a loss that has been so sudden that my brain couldn't grasp it at all.
Total shock.
Yeah, because he was fine. I mean, he was getting better. Anyway, so we talked for a while.
Did anybody ever bring up that dream?
The only other person I told was Rissa about the dream. And this was the thing. I got off the phone with my sister and I was in the guest room in the chair, just sitting with the phone in my hand.
Yeah.
And do you know the little app Marco Polo?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah. Me and Rissa at Marco Polo every single week, catch up on
Oh.
each other's lives. I mean, she's one of my dearest and closest friends. She helped me through so much. But so I just sat there sobbing, crying, trying to make myself believe it with my phone in my hand. And it'll notify you if somebody is Marcoing, recording for you. And it was Rissa. Neva, his wife, had called Rissa trying to let the kids know. And she got on Marco. And she just said all the right things. I mean, she said all the right things. And the reason I bring this part of it up is this. I want to be very respectful towards the LDS Church because my oldest son is, but Rissa said, what do you believe what do you believe where he is right now? And so it's not a back and forth conversation. She says, what I am grateful to know is that when he went, he was only met with unconditional love, acceptance, forgiveness, a loving Father in heaven saying, I know you did the best you could, and that's completely enough. Welcome. Look, here's your mom and dad. Give them a hug. Yeah. Instead of getting there saying, well, you fell short. Probably won't leave you with your family for, forever. But,
yeah.
Like, I mean, she worded it so much better than that. And that was exactly what I needed to hear. And that made me very grateful within an hour of finding out this and comforted. And, his life, because of his on again, off again addiction, he'd made some serious mistakes that cost him so much. And he tortured himself with regret and shame and guilt and fear. I mean, he just tortured himself. And then I realized you don't take that with you. He didn't take any of that with him. So that was extremely comforting to me. That being said, I was right back in there. I didn't want to go to work. I didn't want to get back into my life. I told Rebecca when it happened, she said, do you need to come see me? I says, I'm leaving tomorrow to help at the funeral. So when I got back from the funeral, I took another week off from work and I thought, I'm just going to quit. I can't work when I'm feeling like this. But I had a therapy session and she said, if you don't follow through with some of the things that you've learned through grief therapy, you will find yourself back there stuck in grief again. She says, we're going to have to work through this in a different way because this is a different kind of loss in that you're having trouble even processing it, let alone grieving it.
Yeah.
So we went back to once a week and yeah, it's still hard. I don't know what else to say about that.
One of the things I teach, grief is your friend, a friend you don't want that you have to carry around with you and take with you. And he pops up and out or he or she, whatever, but it really is. You have to take it with you. And the ones that when we stuff it away and we don't face it, it does grow into this big, ugly monster and it becomes complicated grief when you don't face it. It's really, really hard. And the fact that you had to reface that again, knowing the whole process. I mean, I could see why you're like, throwing in the towel, the job's gone. I mean, I can see why you would feel that way, knowing what was ahead of you. So what did you do? Did you keep your job?
I did. I kept my job. Thank goodness. For a while, I had to force myself to go, whereas before I was like, yeah, you get to go to work. I'd have the summer off and I'm going, I don't want the summer off. Don't make me. I love my job, but I had to force myself to go. And these amazing people I work for and with were so nurturing and patient and gentle with me and kind that I thought, this is important that I keep this job. So I have, this part of my life to get me up and pull myself together. I have my family for the emotional support. And I have my therapist, but this is important for me, for my mind and my well-being, for my mental health. And it has helped to go to work, and it's little by little getting easier. But I also do find that when I get home, 3 days a week, full days, but Tuesday through Thursday. But when I get home, I have a cute little sitting room off of my bedroom. That's my sanctuary. And I'll go hide for an hour or so, just because I'm genuine when I'm interacting, but it just drains me. And
It does.
it's very draining to put on the face. People, how are you doing? And instead of saying things like, oh, it's horrible, I'm struggling, I just say, well, I'm hanging in there. And then they move on. Well, I'm not hanging in there. This is horrible.
Yeah.
But you just kind of move forward. There've been more feelings of gratitude around this. It's really surprising to me. One of the very first things that my therapist said to me and helped me embrace is that joy and grief, you can hold joy and grief in the same hands. Never said that to me before. And this was after my dad had passed away. And I remember her saying that, and I'm going, oh, because if you're laughing or if you're having a good time, you're like, I felt guilty.
Yes.
I'm mourning. I'm not supposed to, be fun and happy and laughing. And she said, no, you are. You're still grieving inside, but you can hold them both.
Yeah.
And the same goes with, sorrow and gratitude. I thought, oh, this opened everything up for me.
Yeah.
And really helped me see.
Your story is so phenomenal because it hits all the notes of things that happen during so many grief stories. And people go through this silently and they think, am I going crazy? Or am I depressed? It's a natural part of the cycle. It's like a car accident. I say this to a lot of people. In the beginning, in the car accident, you don't realize the injury or the damage that you sustain. And then the next day you wake up and you're like, oh, I can't move my neck or I can't move this. But there's a part of the body that has to rest. The reason that you have to go down after a car accident is because your body is forcing you to rest and recover. It's a natural depression and you need to rest. But it's okay some days to get up. I showered this week. Congratulations. I took a shower. I brushed my teeth. That's a victory. But we're so hard on ourselves. We program ourselves. We wake up every day since elementary. We brush our teeth, we do our hair, we go to school, we learn, we come home, we do our chores. That is a hard life to live every day. I mean, we are conditioning ourselves. But when grief hits, wipe that all away. We're in another dimension. I tell people you're in another dimension now. It's a whole new world. And so for you to constantly have to be resetting and reinventing yourself over and over and over, that's remarkable what you've come through and what you've done.
Thank you. I mean, there's other things. I remember every time, and going back to the faith, this is where I'm at now with the faith, just so you know. And this is why I picked the therapist I did, because she was a Christian, so I could talk about faith and prayer and all of that without feeling weird. I simplified my faith right down to having a relationship with Heavenly Father and believing in the atonement of Jesus Christ for our sins, making up the difference. Simplifying it down has made that relationship and the faith stronger.
Yeah.
I pray more often. I pray before every therapy session so it goes where it needs to go. I prayed before this podcast so I could say the things that were on my heart. And one time I prayed before a therapy session, and she brought something up. It was called kintsugi, which I knew exactly what she was talking about. And I says, I know what that is. That is, the Japanese art of when a bowl or a plate is broken, they don't just throw it away. They get real gold and they fix it with the real gold. And she says, I have a quote in a book about that very thing. And I keep this quote in my planner at all times. This is what it says, very short. Kintsugi, the ancient Japanese art of mending broken objects with gold, teaches us that if we choose to embrace our struggles and repair ourselves with love, we become stronger and more beautiful for having been broken.
Yes.
It was the for having been broken that got me. You don't become, well, I don't become stronger or healing unless you get to that point of being broken. And I was.
Yeah.
I at first, my daughter Rachel said, Mom, I think this is a depression. I said, no, it's not. It's grief. It's just grief. And she goes, it's 2 years, Mom. she was getting a little bit concerned because I really was not myself for 2 years. But when I realized that I had kind of gotten into this depressive state that I just didn't realize it. And I started therapy. My therapist was really wonderful about saying, you feel like you were broken. You weren't, you were just stuck in the grief, but you become stronger and more beautiful having gone through these, having been broken, and now you can face things. And so that's why, after my brother's passing, I did go back to work and I did stay engaged. I prayed a lot. I still do. And 5 years ago, I started, my body automatically gets up at 5:30 every morning. Instead of getting irritated, I just throw on my jeans and I walk a mile around my neighborhood. It's dark. It's quiet. You can't write anything down. I do not put earphones or anything on. This is my meditative time. It's one of my favorite times of the day. And during this time of that morning, when my sister called me, and after I listened to Rissa, it was like 3:30 in the morning. It was the one day of the year it had snowed the night before. So there was snow on the ground. I walked out just sobbing and just walking. And all of a sudden, my breathing calmed down. My tears stopped. And I just stood there in the cold and the snow, and I felt him. I just felt him with me saying, it's okay. It's really going to be okay. I know it's going to be hard on you, but it's really going to be okay. And so now I never miss a morning, just in case he wants to talk to me.
Oh, that's so sweet.
Yeah.
You have such a beautiful light, Wendy. I hope that you understand by sharing your story how many people's lives you're going to touch. Just the small amount of people I've been able to talk to in grief groups, just hearing each other's story, it's such a wonderful thing. But your story is so relatable for so many people. It's amazing what you've gone through. I mean, right from the beginning when you lost the 7-month-old, that just from that point to where you are now, I can't believe how far you've come. And I think about the bowl, and it's a beautiful quote and I love it. But my goodness, how painstakingly it must be to put those little pieces back together. I imagine my fingers getting glued and wanting to walk away from the bowl, and the tediousness of looking for all those shattered pieces and maybe even not having all the pieces, but it is worth it in the end. And that has just inspired me today. You've really inspired me.
That's a really good addition to that analogy. I'm going to remember that.
Yeah, because I hate the glue. Ooh.
Yeah, I know. I know. I remember, I'm not very good at my timelines here, but there was a time a while before my brother passed away. I still can't say the D word yet. I haven't quite gotten there yet. I just say pass away or lost.
And that's okay.
And that's what my therapist said. Now I've lost my train of thought. I was worried that was going to happen.
It's okay. We were talking about the analogy of the bowl.
Oh, yes. It was before I lost my brother, and I said, Rebecca, I was thinking about my dad yesterday, and I just sat in my closet and cried like it was the day I lost him. I'm going backwards. And she goes, well, wait a minute. She had to remind me how much progress I'd made, that I had made a faith transition without falling apart, that was holding down a job that I loved. And I'm like, oh yeah, I did do that. She says, you don't give yourself enough or credit, and you need to do that. I've always been that way, but she's helping me to say, oh yeah, I guess I am better. I am more engaged. As you can see, I'm a fairly outgoing person, and I'm finding my way with her.
And did you say you were married for 30 something years?
Now we just celebrated 37 years a few months ago.
And
No,
you,
he's
that's wonderful.
he's very patient. He's a really wonderful husband. We have a lovely life. I really appreciate him being so patient and kind.
Sounds like your dad.
Yes. Yes. My dad, here's the thing. When I first started therapy, Rebecca asked, one of the questions she asked is, have you ever been in therapy before? And I said, all my life. She goes, what do you mean by that? I said, my dad. My dad was my therapist.
Oh, yeah.
That's why I am struggling hard, is because my lifelong, I mean, my dad saw me through all of it. The divorce, the stillbirth, the transitions, the joys, that, I mean, everything. I went to him with everything. So for that to suddenly be gone, she goes, okay, that's hard, so she understood. But and she, since I can talk to her freely about faith and prayer, she, talks to me about that. She goes, well, how do you feel about it in your spirit? And, that always helps.
Well, and as far as your children go, they should be honored to have a mom like you who has worked so hard to maintain the footing that you have, to just keep yourself together and hold your faith. It sounds to me like you do have some faith traditions and the love of Christ in your own faith and belief in God, and that you've had a love of family and all of that on your journey. And so I don't think you've done any injustice to the way that you've held on to those beliefs and moved through what you needed to move through. My connection to Rissa is through the Mama Dragons. We both have children of LGBT, and one of our common friends gave me some advice once when I was going through a huge faith transition myself. She said, Sheila, get rid of all the baggage you can't carry and only pick up what you can. And I feel like you've done that as well. And it seems like you didn't really like throw anything away or discard it. You just only can carry what you can carry as one person. And I think that you've done that, and you haven't done a disservice or said anything negative. And I think that's beautiful. I'm very similar like that. I don't bash or anything on any of that level.
No.
And I'd be honored to have you as a mom. And I think your kids will really appreciate the beautiful things you've said about your family. So what would you like people to know? Is there a message that you want to give after all that you've been through?
You mentioned that before, and I wrote a few things down. Some of it I've already said, but these are the most important things that I want people to know. I'm going to read it because it'll make me cry. I've always been a strong believer in therapeutic tears. What I want people to know is that it is possible to hold joy and grief, sorrow and gratitude in the same hands. I don't have to move on from the loss of a loved one. For me, moving on means you go without them. But I can move forward, because moving forward means I get to take them with me so they can help me navigate this life. And I feel like they are. And that includes, some of the faith traditions I'm raised with. I can still, and that my simple but deep faith in a loving Heavenly Father is a strong, strong source of comfort. Knowing He accepts us with no conditions, loves us despite our mistakes and struggles that we have here on this earth, in this life, that He knows that we did the best we could and welcomes us with forgiveness and unconditional love. Because that's what comforts me in having lost my brother, is what he was met with. That's what I want people to know.
Oh, thank you so much. You have said so many things that have warmed my heart today. And I wanted to note too that there's these dates that are close to the holidays. My gosh, what horrible time to have lost people, and you are coming right on to dates. And one thing I educate on is the second year is always one of the hardest, and here we are in the second year getting close to the passing of a lot of people in your life.
Yes.
So
I don't mean to focus on the date, but the 23rd is so close to Christmas. How do you not? You know?
I'm going in for a total knee replacement on the 23rd.
Yeah.
And I was feeling sorry for myself just like right before I got on this call. I've been boohooing about it. I'm just scared. But I know, but after hearing your story, I want you to know you have truly inspired me. Because I think what's inspired me is that broken bowl. The thought of the pain that I'm going to have to go through, but that it is going to refine me. So thank you. You really have motivated me to move through something that's difficult, and I hate that it's through your suffrage, but thank you for sharing your journey and trusting that I'll share this with other people. Thank you so much, Wendy.
You're welcome.
And thank you, Rissa.
Thank you, Rissa. I should tell you that when I told my therapist that I was going to do this, I says, I'm a little bit nervous. And she goes, Wendy, telling your stories and you're telling your journey, saying it out loud is going to be healing. And so that's what you've done for me today.
I'm so glad. This is why my husband and I have decided to do this. It's a leap of faith, but we just want you to know we appreciate your sacrifice. We appreciate your being so vulnerable, and I hope that you can enjoy the holidays with your husband and reflect on some of the beautiful memories that you have of your mother, your brother, and your father.
Thank you so much, Sheila.
You're welcome. Let's stay connected. I hope to see more from you.
I love that. Okay. Sounds good.
All right. Bye.
All right.